Yes, you read that right. Taylor Lorenz, you remember her? She worked for a bunch of big publications. She doxed libs of TikTok. And I, along with the Daily Wire, teamed up to get a Times Square billboard that said Taylor Lorenz has doxed libs of TikTok. Boy, was she unhappy about that one. Apparently, behind the scenes, she was told she couldn't do anything about it. She wanted to sue. I don't know if that's true, but I know people who work in some of those companies, and they're like, oh, yeah, she was losing her mind. Well, my friends, this story is not so much about her, but it kind of is. You see, this woke establishment journalist, if you can call her that, recently made a post on Blue Sky where she said that people who don't wear masks are raw dogging the air. It has been several years since COVID ended, and she still lives her life in a state of panic and fear where she wears a mask because of COVID. The bigger picture here, my friends, is not so much that some crazy person said a crazy thing. It's that people's brains genuinely are broken. And while many conservatives say, bring back the asylums, my response is, guys, the media machine has melted people's brains. I don't know if asylums are going to solve the problem. How do you get someone whose brain is so shattered to come back to reality? Honestly, I have no idea. The crazy thing is, I genuinely feel like IQs have dropped a great degree. I know people where 5 years ago, they were seemingly normal, rational people. And now it's like they can't process information at all. Maybe there's some chemical substance in the air or water or something has damaged their brains. I have no idea. But I got to be honest, and I want to call anybody out specifically, but there are people I know where I tell you, man, it's like their brains no longer process information. And I'm talking about like average young people. I hang out with them years ago, and they're talking about astrophysics and quantum physics. They're sitting around, they're playing Joe Rogan. We used to watch Bill Maher when I was a kid. And these days, they're sitting there just being like, you are raw dogging the air. Why are you not wearing the mask? And I'm not like, I'm speaking like figuratively, but they say things like Trump is Hitler and a white supremacist. And like, I'll show them, like, here's a video of Trump condemning white supremacy. And they'll look at it. And then an hour later, be like, yeah, well, Trump refused to condemn white supremacy. He said they were fine people. And I'm just like, my dude, what happened? I just showed you the video, but some people's brains stopped. And I feel like this happened to Taylor Lorenz. Here's a story from the New York Post. Former Washington Post journalist Taylor Lorenz has claimed that people who don't wear masks in public are raw dogging the air in an expletive-laden social media rant. Now, me personally, when I'm driving in my car, I roll the window down and I hold my hand out so that it intentionally forces the air into my face because fresh air is wonderful. Lorenz, the controversial columnist who grabbed headlines for branding President Biden a war criminal, well, okay, unleashed the foul-mouthed tirade Monday as she ripped criticism of her continued mask wearing during the ongoing COVID pandemic. She said, I love when people find photos where my mask is off for 5 seconds outside for a photo at my book party where every single attendee had to PCR test as some kind of gotcha. She raged on ex-rival Blue Sky. It's not really a rival. Apparently referring to the event she hosted last year for her book launch. Planning a COVID-safe book launch took months and thousands of my own dollars ensuring testing, outdoor space, far UV lights, and a litany of other precautions. Meanwhile, you dumb Fs are out raw dogging the air and spewing your disease-laden breath all over your elderly neighbors. We are not the same. No, lady, we're not. You're nuts. This is crazy. Raw dogging the air. I'm just going to raw dog this here Spindrift. That is not using a life straw. There we go. That was a joke I made on Twitter. I said I'm raw dogging, parentheses, not using a life straw, this Spindrift right now. Do you guys know what life straw is? It's like that thing where you can stick it in a muddy water and then slurp the water straight up into it and it purifies it. Whatever. I got a bunch of them. They're cool. Anyway, her fiery onslaught was seemingly in response to backlash she received online after sharing a slew of posts earlier Monday about the virus, including one about COVID denialism and how the U.S. government was intentionally trying to downplay the ongoing pandemic. This crazy lady. She's crazy. This lady's crazy. Lorenz, who continues to wear a mask in public to this day because she says she has a pre-existing condition, was immediately scorched for her latest take, with a handful of critics mocking her for a raw dogging remark. Raw dogging the air. Because breathing air now makes you dumb, according to Taylor Lorenz. Dude, people are smoking right now, and they're vaping, Taylor. For some people, is that not raw dog? I guess vaping would not be raw dogging. For some people like Taylor Lorenz, they never want the pandemic to end. Others, meanwhile, pointed to the timing of her pro-mask rant, noting it has now been some 4 years. First thing I did was look at the date on this. Mind blown emoji. Wow. The journalist's rant comes after Lorenz revealed in October that she had left the Washington Post to start up her own Substack newsletter. The move followed reports that Washington Post editors had lost faith in her after she called Biden a war criminal in a social media post and then was willfully misleading when confronted about it by her bosses. This guy says, I tried to follow the science, but it simply wasn't there. I then followed the money, and that's where I found the science. Ha ha! That's a pretty good one. I love this from the Daily Caller. Taylor Lorenz is so crazy, she might just be brilliant. No. I think her brain got fried. I really do think so. Here's what I think happens. Taylor Lorenz goes on social media and sees someone mocking her for not wearing a mask. Her immediate reaction is, I have to defy whatever this is. So in the essence of Democrats will simply take the opposite path to whatever it is Donald Trump is doing. Taylor Lorenz is seeing people make fun of her. It's conservatives mocking her for wearing a mask, proving she must. It's liberals mocking her for not wearing a mask, proving she must. And so she does. It's crazy to me when, and you know what? I'm done with this. I really am. I went to Cracker Barrel the other day, and there are employees there wearing masks, and I am just done with this. If I go to an establishment and I see people wearing masks, I'm going to be like, take that off. I'm done doing this thing. I don't trust you. I don't know what's wrong with you. Stop doing this. You know, it's funny. You go to a casino, the casino out here, and they got staff wearing masks. The weirdest thing to me was that they would let you walk into a casino wearing a mask. Sure, I guess. I will stress just how crazy the COVID period was. So out here, during the COVID pandemic, and I went to a casino in Maine, and this was like a year and a half ago, and they were still under COVID lockdown. So here's what happens. There are these games you can play. For those that aren't familiar with these casino games, let's use Mississippi Stud as an example of how insane COVID was. You weren't allowed to touch any of the cards. You had to wear a mask, and they put plastic dividers between people. Okay, I guess. Anyway, the way the game works is 3 cards are placed in front of the dealer. Each player is given 2 cards. You're trying to use those 3 cards and the 2 cards in your hand to make pairs or better. A pair of jacks or better, and you win 1 time your money. And so what you have to do is you place a bet. They give you 2 cards. If you think your 2 cards are good, you can place another bet and they'll flip over 1 of the 3. The idea being that if you make a winning hand, you can then increase your bet amount and you win a lot of money. Okay, well, what's funny about it is if you know what everyone else has in their hand, you have an advantage. Because if you have an ace and you see 3 other aces, you know you can't make a pair. There you go. So most casinos will ban you if you try and share information. Sometimes they don't care, but during COVID, all the cards are face up. And I'm like, how is this a thing? Like, the players have a massive advantage right now. That's how insane COVID was. They implemented rules that made literally no sense. And I don't know, that's just one example of how crazy things were. But now, I will stress, when you're looking at someone like Taylor Lorenz, who is trapped, she is trapped. Do you think that, like, in her head, there's the real Taylor, like, and she's envisioning herself in a cage being like, let me out. I don't want to be trapped. But she's like a brain slug took her brain over and she's just trapped in this reality, you know, like she can't escape the prison of her own mind. Look. Let me say it like this. We need some kind of truth and reconciliation. We need a government panel where they come out and they say, these things are not true. These things are true. Now, hold on. I am not saying the government shall be the arbiter of truth. I'm saying we need like a congressional hearing with experts, with evidence and personalities. And so you have a mix of the public and the private sector doing, like, releasing evidence, saying, here's what happened, here's why it happened, here's the data, here's our reasonable conclusion. Now, of course, you may be saying, but Tim, the experts were lying the whole time. The Democrats were lying and the media was lying. Uh-huh. That doesn't mean you don't have an apparatus of experts and institutions. It means those ones are corrupt and we need some kind of truth and reconciliation. But Taylor, you go on doing you. It's actually really sad how she's gone insane. It's really sad. And I mean it. But whatever. Have fun, I guess. I'll wrap it up there. We got more segments coming up, so smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. Become a member at timcast.com, and we'll see you all in the next segment.